Okay, hello. Good to meet you all, I guess, kind of, and give you a little idea of who I am. I'm just going to do this one time through. I'm not going to do any retakes or anything like that. So it took me a while to figure out how to actually take the video and then get it into a computer and then get it online. I think the best way, rather than just posting the file right on Moodle. So I made a YouTube account. I'm going to put these up on YouTube, and I think after this first time, I should be able to do one at least once every week or two. And so look for the videos. And if you have anything you'd like me to discuss during the videos, feel free to let me know. But we're in week 3 now, but still. I could give myself a little bit of an introduction. My name is Luther Riedel, and you can call me Luther if you want. Professor Riedel is fine. And this is my first online class, so I think it's going pretty well so far. I do feel that there's a little bit of tinkering with the settings that I might need to do, and I'm not sure how I'm going to get a grade book online, but needless to say, whatever happens, you will get points for all of your on-time posts, and certainly when we get into the papers. And I think so far the content, the tenor of the post has been really high, really excellent. So I'm very happy about that. We did cover a lot of ground with the poetry. I realized that we didn't get as much back and forth discussion going as perhaps I would like to see on several of the posts. But still, I thought there's some very good ideas expressed, and it sounded like most of you enjoyed the process of reading those poems and talking about them. So you will be able to get more of a chance to talk about poetry if you want in your paper coming up, your first essay. Or you can deal with Gilgamesh. I think I'll probably have that up, your first essay assignment by tomorrow or Saturday, but the very latest by Sunday. And you can start working on that. And you'll have 2 weeks to work on that. So let me point out a few resources. Once you have your assignment, and of course I'll field any questions you might have about that, but once you have your assignment, this will come in handy. You're every writer. If you go to page 569, there's a sample MLA paper there that you should always be referring to for all of your essays. You should be able to hold your paper up side by side to this paper, and it should look identical. So that, as far as formatting goes, that's what you want to look for. Or you can go to Purdue OWL. PURDUEOWL. Just do a search for that, and it'll come right up. And then just go to the MLA sample paper page they have there. So just type that in the search box, and it'll pop right up again. And I will provide links for this and information on Moodle, but it's good to just get familiar with this stuff as early as possible. So. Those will serve as good guidelines for you, I think, as far as formatting goes. And then, other than that, just follow the assignment instructions in the same spirit that you've been doing the posts. I'm not asking for any kind of outside review or study or sources to be consulted in this. I know that some people have. It's obvious that some people have consulted Wikipedia or Moodle, or something like Shmoop, which is, it happens and it's fine. But do take care, especially when you are writing your paper, that you want this to be your idea and your writing. And that's why I had people sign the contract before they begin the writing process. Okay, so there's even if you cover a same theme as someone else, or as is given on a site like Shmoop, you need to come at it from your own angle. You need to come at it from quotes you pull out of your reading and that you talk about in the way you want to talk about. and hopefully I'll design the questions in such a way that you'll have to answer them in such a way that will just preclude any possibility of plagiarism, but that still is something that I need you to be very careful of. A plagiarized paper will probably result in a failing grade, okay, for the entire class. So you have the ability to do this. Just take your reading, your careful reading and note taking, and that's all you're going to need on this. We will be doing outside resources, outside research when we get to the final draft, or I should say the final research paper. But for the first 3 papers, all I'm looking for is your close reading and your reaction to what you discover in the readings yourself. Okay, so that's where the posts come in. This is the perfect exercise to prepare you for writing one of these papers. If you look at one of the posts as, say, this week's post of 150 words, I can't imagine, once you have your quote that you want to discuss, I can't imagine that taking more than 15, 20, 25 minutes for a good, really long paragraph or a couple paragraphs, and that's 150 words. The papers are only 500 words, so it requires very little additional effort than you would expend on writing one of these well thought out, thoughtful, carefully written posts on the discussion board. Okay, it does require a little bit more of an organizational a organizational plan in which you definitely state what it is you want to discuss, what it is you want to provide as your thesis, and then to pick out 2 or 3 points that you want to make in order to support that thesis. But still, it should be very doable, and I may even incorporate some form of peer revision where you're talking to each other about your paper topics. Okay, so again, great work on the poetry section, and I hope you're enjoying Gilgamesh. I'm almost through with my reading of it. There's only, I think, 4 original posts on Moodle at this point, so I do hope everyone gets to that tonight. Just look at the ones that are up there are very good models to follow. So and I put one up there myself. So just with that kind of quality of input in mind, just simply read through the book until you find something that interests you, and then just write a paragraph on it. That's all you need to do. And if you have questions that occur to you that you'd like to ask the class, that's when you ask those. Okay, but start with a quote from the book and maybe pair it with a theme. I give you the idea of the journey. There's a lot of ways you can talk about the journey in Gilgamesh. Many journeys of many kinds are taken. So find a quote or two that in some way exemplifies the process of a journey, and then talk a little bit about that in your post. A little bit about Gilgamesh. The reason I chose it, obviously, it's an epic that involves a major journey and several major journeys, so it fits in with a theme. But I, in a class that's introducing literature, I think that this is just a really exemplary addition to our curriculum, because this is the first work of literature ever period that we have. So that in and of itself makes it, I think, a fascinating thing to study and discuss. It's also interesting because it's pretty new in a strange way. We didn't discover this. We didn't discover any of the civilizations that created this epic until the mid-19th century, the 1850s, when mostly Europeans and Americans started going over to the Middle East and digging through these mounds that were out there that people were saying had all these ruins in them, and that's where we discovered an entire civilization, or many civilizations, and started uncovering palaces and tablets with strange, what they call cuneiform writing on it. There's several examples of it in the text itself of cuneiform writing, so you can see exactly what this looks like in the original. Here's one on page on page 87. See if I can get that. That is exactly what they found, and that is what this book is. That 100 years of research and scholarship has gone into discovering what this language is, what it says, and we stand on very tall shoulders of people who actually found these scattered tablets on the ground and came up with this. I mean, this is the English translation of this. A new language, new civilizations, and this is one of the primary documents from that civilization that lets us know what it was like, what were their dreams, their aspirations, their fears, their concerns, their values. That's what we get out of this. It's what we get out of all literature. So when we get to the Odyssey, which is much better preserved, we have the entire thing, every word of the entire thing, whereas this, again, we're dealing with broken tablets on the ground, so we don't have the whole thing. There are words missing from what we have, and those are indicated in the text by brackets or ellipses. And so, but we're still finding more stuff all the time, and it's becoming more and more of a complete text all the time. So we're sort of in the end stage of having the complete text, but we don't have it all yet. And this is the most recent major edition to come out about 10, 15 years ago that attempted to put together all of the various pieces that we have and to present it as a readable book to us. And I think it's also very interesting that from the very beginning, the very first work of literature we have kind of some very timeless themes that we're still worried about today, and that are just a part of the human condition, I think. Death, mortality, what does it mean to be a human being? What is important to the life of a human being? How do human beings organize themselves into communities, and how do they govern themselves once they're organized into communities, and what is important to consider in that respect once they're organized into communities, and how should rulers best behave? What is important for rulers to know and understand and value and to have in mind when they are chosen as their community's leader. And that's Gilgamesh. So much of that is in here, and more. Of course, that's just a sampling. But in any case, I really hope you're enjoying it. I'm very much enjoying this read. That I haven't read it in, I don't know, a decade or so, and it's one of those works that is just so important to know about if you want to be what you might call culturally literate. Right? If you want to know stuff about who we are, where we came from, what's important to our culture throughout history, this is one of the primary texts for that, right up there with Shakespeare and Homer. Some of the other books we're going to be reading this term. And that's kind of what I have in mind with this class is giving you a sampling through the theme of the journey, which doesn't limit us hardly at all in some of the greatest works of Western, but also, I mean, this is you might say Near Eastern or Middle Eastern culture, right? But there's links throughout history between Middle East and Near East, Greece, Rome, and Europe, and us, of course, because we inherited all this from our predecessors, and I think it's a very interesting thing to think about in terms of the recent history of Mesopotamia, or Iraq is where this was. We have people going to school taking this class that tread the same ground as Gilgamesh did, that were over there, and that have probably seen some of these hills. They're called tells, T-E-L or T-E-L-L-S, where these ruins have been buried. And unfortunately, there's a lot of pillaging and great sort of like digging of holes to find this stuff so that they can sell it on the black market. But we've succeeded before a lot of the turmoil of the past 15, 20 years. We did a pretty good job of getting in there and discovering a lot of this stuff and getting to have a pretty good understanding of its importance to the history of civilization, the history of culture and thought, and how that interacts with the European world, and how that in turn has led to the culture that we enjoy today. So, and culture in the broadest possible sense, the foundation for everything we think, feel, believe, what we like, what we don't like, these kinds of things. Okay, so I don't want to drone on too long. I could drone on forever, apparently. I can't believe I'm already at 15 minutes and 40 seconds. I started out thinking this would be a 7 or 8 minute thing, but this is the third week, so I figure I guess there's 3 weeks worth that needs to be in here. And I'll try to put another one up next week, and maybe more paper specific, and introducing the Odyssey, which we're starting, will be up this before Monday morning. Will be up the assignment, but it's the first fourth of the Odyssey. So the first about 125 pages, I think it is, or a little over 100 pages of the Odyssey that we'll be reading for next week. Okay, so I hope you're enjoying the class. Hope you're enjoying Gilgamesh, and looking forward to the rest of the works we will be reading. And I will get this posted up, and I appreciate any feedback you might have, any ideas you would like me to cover in these videos, or that you need more feedback or more assistance or guidance on, and anything about the class at all. If I can do it, I'll make it happen. Okay, so good to meet you all, and carry on. Excelsior.